So those of you who don't know me, I'm Marjorie Benz. I'm Executive Director of Edmonton's Food Bank. And after a number of weeks of fires and floods, I'm so pleased that you could join us on the first day of summer. June 21st, today is also an important day because it's National Indigenous Peoples Day. And so that's why we chose to unveil this particular building today. And we are going to have a few speakers this morning sharing some of their contributions to the work we're doing here at Edmonton's Food Bank and sharing the context of the work, as well as after we're going to go outside for ribbon cutting. We chose to have you inside this morning just in case the weather wasn't as beautiful as we had ordered. And then, of course, after the ribbon cutting, we also have a surprise unveiling of a plaque out front. And last but not least, we are hoping that you can join us for some informal tours, as well as some food and beverages, and just enjoy the friendship that's in this room today with us. So without saying anything else, I'm going to invite a very special friend of Edmonton's Food Bank up to say a few words and do our land acknowledgement. It's my pleasure to welcome Don Langford. Don Langford is Executive Director of Métis Child and Family Services, a former board member of our organization, and a great friend of Edmonton's Food Bank.
Thank you, Margie. Good morning, everybody. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on Region 6 territory, home of the Métis. I'd also like to acknowledge and honor the Edmonton Food Bank, the staff, the management, and the board of directors for the way that they have provided services and supports to the citizens of Edmonton over the many, many years. I've been involved with the Edmonton Food Bank for 25 years in one capacity or another, and only have admiration and gratitude to show for them for the services that they've provided to my Indigenous community. I am truly, truly grateful for what they have done for the Indigenous community. I would now like to thank the Creator for our good fortune. Creator, thank you for bringing us here in friendship and celebration. Thank you for this building named for love, caring, and comradeship. Guide us as we welcome our journey of caring and services, and help us to look after those who are less fortunate, in peril, and need their supports. Creator, keep us strong, guide our way. Hi, hi.
Just to give you a little context of the naming of our building today, and our organization has 3 buildings in a row, as you're aware. The first one, the original one, which is north of us, is got the grand name of the Main Food Bank. Not very creative. And then after a decade or so later, we managed to acquire the building south of us, and we came up with the name The Annex, which is a little bit more interesting than the main warehouse. And then we've always had our eye on this particular building right from, I'm going to say 15 years ago. And the owners of this building knew that we wanted this building, so they never put it on the market when they decided to sell it, which was good for us. And so we acquired this building late fall last year, and we've been using it for storage and that type of thing, kind of getting it settled. And now we're going to be moving some programming into here as well as storage. And so we went on a little bit of a journey of what to name this building. And of course, we're not very creative, so at first we thought we'd call it the third building. But then that didn't make any sense, because over time, people would think we couldn't count, because it'd be main building, 3, and then the annex. So we realized the natural name for it was 2, whichever way you counted it was 2. And then, so in keeping with Truth and Reconciliation, we had some conversations with some of our Indigenous staff, as well as other stakeholders in the community, and we came out with the name Niso or Nisho. It depends on which part of community you're from, how it's actually said in Cree. And so you'll see the beautiful sign out front is Niso, plus the word Niso is written in Cree beside the hands, the welcoming hands. And Dawn and I decided that we are going to stick to English because I have enough trouble with English, and I don't want to mess up the beautiful Cree language. But Cree language is comprised of beautiful root words, and so Niso is the root word too. It's the root word of a number of very important Indigenous meanings, including helping one another or welcoming hands. So that's why we landed with this name. I apologize. So thank you, Zelda, and my team and other stakeholders that helped us with that journey to find that name that we felt would represent the work we're doing here in the community. And so, as we are all aware, everybody in this room has been a stakeholder with the organization, how busy we've been. We've gone through a pandemic, then we've seen increased numbers of people needing our services, and that's put a lot of strain and pressure on this organization. So this building is really important for us from a financial basis to help us move forward, because it's cheaper to own than it is to rent because of the great supporters in this room, as well as it will secure some other programming that we'll be able to do out the front end. So while I grab a Kleenex, I'm going to invite Catherine to come up and say, oh, pardon me, I already messed it up. Okay. I'm going to ask Christopher Smith to come up from Mitart Foundation. The Mitart Foundation has been a key supporter of Edmonton's Food Bank for since the late 80s, and they're helping us out in a very special way with this building. So Christopher, come on up. Thank you.
I guess it's good afternoon, everyone. Now I was going to say good morning, but and thanks, Marjorie. Thanks for that generous welcome and the care and the compassion that you bring to your work. Thank you. So, on behalf of the Mitart Foundation Board of Directors today, I would like to thank the Food Bank for the invitation to attend today's opening of the third warehousing and programming facility. I would also like to acknowledge and bring my thanks to and remind us that today is National Indigenous Peoples Day. It's a day when we celebrate and honor Indigenous cultures, traditions, and heritage, and the achievements of Indigenous peoples. So, on behalf of the Mitart Foundation Board of Directors, I want to send my sincere thanks to the Edmonton Gleaners Association. I still call them the Gleaners Association, Marjorie, so apologize for that. To its volunteers. Still a corporate name. To its volunteers, its staff, and its board members. For all that you do, your continued work in support of residents in our city who face food insecurity. I'm going to show my age here. The Mitart Foundation has a long history of supporting the Edmonton Food Bank. Stretches right back to the 1980s, as Marjorie reminded me, when the Edmonton Food Bank was officially born. The organization came to be in the 1980s through essentially the work of a very small number of individuals who were determined to address needs in our city. And the Edmonton Food Bank is actually the first food bank in Canada, the first food bank that was formally incorporated. There are now hundreds of food banks from coast to coast to coast, as well as thousands of different organizations that address food security. Over the last 4 decades, the Mitart Foundation, we've had the privilege of providing over $1 million in grant funding to the Edmonton Food Bank for its incredibly important work. And we've also provided what we call in our sort of world, and Erin probably to the term, is we call them program-related investments, whereby we provide financing and support loans to organizations to allow them to continue to do their work, in this case, supporting the purchase of this facility. After 4 decades, the food bank remains a foundational part of the well-being in the city of Edmonton. It's part of our cultural fabric. As you all know, on a monthly basis, the food bank staff and volunteers, they provide support and services to over 1,000 different Edmonton residents, both in terms of addressing food insecurity, but also through programming and services that support capacity and build resilience in our community. Food insecurity impacts all of us. It remains present across a range of different communities, and it affects Edmontonians of all different age groups. Although it's often hidden in our community. In the current challenging economic times, I think Marjorie mentioned this a little bit, is that food insecurity is real and it's close to home. It's in our workplaces, it's in our homes, it's in our communities, and it's in our neighborhoods. And it's a responsibility of all of us to ask how we can do our bit to address food insecurity, whether it's through our individual actions of charity, whether it's through the political priorities or the policies that we require of our governments, or if it's through the practices and the behaviors of the businesses and communities in which we live. And so to the Edmonton Food Bank, to the staff, to the volunteers and the board, thank you for your continued service to the community. We all remain in your debt for the work that you do on a daily basis in support and service of others. And we trust that this new facility, the third building, that's easy, I'll call it the third building as well. The third building will allow you to continue that work and your service, while the rest of us, as part of our work, we work to end food security in Edmonton. So thank you very much to the Food Bank. Thanks, Marjorie. And I think Catherine's coming up next, so thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Christopher. I will say good morning. My name is Catherine Housing, and I'm honored to serve as the Vice Chair for the Edmonton Food Bank Board. And I'm honored to bring greetings on behalf of my board colleagues. What's not in my notes, and I just want to take a moment, is anyone else not surprised that the sun is out when Marjorie said that she had ordered sunshine today? Of course the sun is here. As Marjorie noted, the Edmonton Food Bank was able to proceed with the purchase of this building due to a mortgage with the Muttart Foundation. Christopher, we're grateful for the work that the foundation does in supporting us and so many other organizations. Each of us here today is aware of the challenges facing many in our community. Headlines and news reports talk about inflation and rising food costs around us. And then for each of us, as we enter the grocery store, we can attest for ourselves that the costs are escalating. All this translates into increased demand on the Edmonton Food Bank. This new space will be instrumental in the work of the food bank to support our community. Additional warehouse space will allow us to meet the demand for our services in creative ways, including a dedicated depot space so that individuals and families may access food, new pantry option to support the resiliency of the organization while continuing food services at this time. And also, as you'll see around you, dry food storage space to accept and redistribute food throughout Edmonton. Ultimately, all of this increases our ability to use our facility spaces more efficiently. While the purchase of this building was supported with a mortgage through the Muttart Foundation, I want to extend our thanks to the Government of Alberta for the Community Facility Enhancement Program. Many of you know it as CFIP. Through this program's large stream funding grant, the food bank received $737,000 for upgrades to the facility. The councillor and I were commenting as we entered, you could still smell the newness of the space at the front. So these upgrades included both code improvements as well as setting up the space to meet the intended use for the food bank. Minister, please extend our thanks to your colleagues, in particular the Honourable Tanya Furr, Minister of Arts, Culture and the Status of Women, as that ministry manages the CFIP grant. And now I would like to invite the Honourable Cyr Turton, Minister of Children and Family Services, to say a few words. Minister.
Well, thank you all very much for being here today. And I have to say, Marjorie, I know your experience about using the washroom for the very first time. It seems like for myself, I was just sworn in last week. I've been locked out of the parkade twice. I've had to find new washrooms at the ledge. So I totally get it when you're trying to find your way through a new facility.
But we should be thankful when we have running water, right?
Absolutely. Running water is always a plus, and power. But, and also thank you very much, Elder Langford, for the incredible blessing this morning. So on behalf of Premier Daniel Smith and the government of Alberta, I am pleased to join Councillor Rice and the wonderful folks here at Edmonton's Food Bank and so many supporters today to celebrate this new resource for families here in the Edmonton area and to congratulate the Edmonton's Food Bank on completing this exciting build. Getting this done was a group effort. It involved many partners and a ton of hard work, and it's great to see it finally reach the finish line. Speaking of partnership, I believe the Niso building is proof that the fight against hunger can only be won if all of us, governments, communities, organizations, individuals, and families come together to support food security for all Albertans. I'm pleased that the government of Alberta was able to provide more than $700,000 through the Community Facility Enhancement Program, or CFEP, to help this facility become a reality. We have also committed $20 million in funding over 2 years, half of which is already flowing to make sure food banks and food security programs all over Alberta, including this one, can keep up with the growing demand. Every family deserves the support it needs to help put food on their tables and to keep their children fed. And I'm confident that the Niso building will mean many more families in Edmonton receive this needed support. As Minister of Children and Family Services, and as a parent with a heart for any family dealing with food insecurity, I offer my deepest thanks to everyone involved in Edmonton's Food Bank and to the many supporters who have contributed to this project. I am proud that the government of Alberta was able to play such an integral part in making this happen, and I cannot wait to tour the space today. So thank you all very much for coming here today. Take care.
For Edmonton's Food Bank, it's really important that people have access to food and that we do our best to address as many barriers as possible for them to access food. When you go for your tour, you'll see some of the work that we're going to be doing in the front end of this building around access to food. And we had a really important partner, again, a long-time community supporter of Edmonton's Food Bank. I have Aaron Robinson from the Realtors Community Foundation here to say a couple of words as well. Thank you, Aaron.
Hello, everyone, and what an amazing event. The sun is out, the sun is shining, I'm full of life and spirit, and I could not be any happier to be here today. So thank you very much. I am your 2023 president of the Realtors Community Foundation, and I'm here on behalf of the board, as well as the 4,700 realtors that we have in Edmonton. So if you're not familiar with the Realtors Community Foundation, we are where realtors and industry partners come together to positively impact the communities we serve. Through the years, the realtors work together to build up our communities that we work, serve, and play in. We work to raise funds through donating portions of our commission, and by donating through events and running fundraisers. And also by donating our time to charities that we serve here and around the city. This year's donation to the Edmonton's Food Bank was in support of their accessibility ramp and door, ensuring that all Edmontonians have access to the services of the Edmonton Food Bank. We realize that the last few years have been very difficult for Albertans and for community members We recognize that removing barriers that would prevent anyone from assessing or accessing important services at the food bank was definitely something that realtors would love to support. It's tangible initiatives like this that we love supporting in and around our community. So thank you very much for having us today, and thank you for all your hard work that you do in and around this community. And please remember, we are all in this together.
We do appreciate your friendship and your support. Thank you. So the next person I'd like to invite up is Councillor Jennifer Rice. And the last time she did some work with us, and she's a very loyal supporter and friend of Edmonton's Food Bank as well, we picked the coldest day in December to do a drive-through with CBC. So I think she was probably almost hesitant to come back to us again, because I'm sure it was a challenging time, but today is better, right? So Councillor Rice, please join us.
Thank you for that interesting story, the coldest day. I remember it's back to not long ago, like 2021, after 1 month I was swearing as a first-term councillor. I think for me, and that's exciting time, even though it's coldest day, but the funny thing is my EA couldn't see through his glasses, and because it's too cold and he could take any pictures. Yeah, so that I would like to say I interact with our food bank and to support, like the Marjorie mentioned, then I'm a loyal supporter for our food bank. When I was working in government of Alberta as a public servant, and my team, and then including our executive director, we always come to food bank, do the volunteer for 1 day. So that is our tradition for our team. So I started my work and know how important this food bank's work to our vulnerable population and to the people who need, and that is how important. I started to learn from that. Now today I'm here, and so on behalf of our Mayor Sohi and our council to say a few words, and it's such an honor. I would like to start, maybe introduce myself. I'm Jennifer Rice, and City Councillor for Ward EP Kokan EPLC. And some people told me, I want to say this, some people told me this Cree language, I pronounced it perfect. It's the longest name and across our 12 words, 21 letters. And because with English as my second language, and I can pronounce this Cree language, and right, and perfect. So, so today is an exciting day for our city. For over 42 years, Edmonton's Food Bank has been working hard to feed our most vulnerable people, reaching our 30,000 individuals every month. That is a big, big number. So the City of Edmonton relies on the work our community partners in helping us build the healthy city. The new facility and will help us better serve Edmontonians in need as we work towards our shared goal of eliminating food insecurity. Alberta had the highest rate of the food insecurity and back in 2021, which is 20.3%, with 6.3% of those cases being severe. So this is a complex issue that can affect many aspects of the person's life. Due to financial constraints, and some will sacrifice, and including medicine and housing, in order to feed their families. That is why Edmonton's Food Bank provides such critical services that positively change the overall well-being of our citizens. I would like to congratulate the team and all the many volunteers who make this operation possible. The health and the wealth of our fellow Edmontonians is core to our collective quality of life, and thank you all that you do. Thank you very much.
I'll try to invite you only back to warm events, okay? So before we head outside for the ribbon cutting, I do want to thank some people in this building that are here and just acknowledge them. I'm not going to acknowledge them as individuals, but I I think if you're a contractor that's been working on this facility day and night, if you could wave to everybody, we appreciate your work. Hanny, don't be shy. So we all can have big dreams, but unless there's somebody that's going to pull it together, it doesn't happen. So thank you to all our contractors and people who work so hard behind the scenes to make this come to a reality. I'm going to also want to thank Mark Dorham, our Director of Operations. Mark, like our other team members, every time I say I have an idea, wants to run away. Mark has been so great about pulling everybody together, all the contractors, and again, making sure this happens behind the scenes. So thank you, Mark, and the food bank teams. So everyone in this room has been made a very special contribution to this building, and we thank you for that and making this a reality so that we can serve more people and serve more people in a better way. And so thank you for everyone in this room for coming out today.